Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys. And this is the weekly forecast. I'm giving you the keys to have a successful week. It's freedomthroughastrology.com. I'm your astrologer. My name is Donald Patak. Here's my contact information. Copyright, standard YouTube. Keys to the reading. I use the word keys a lot for some reason. Keys to the reading, because I do read differently. Many people are used to tropical astrology, which fixes the signs to seasons. I read what's called constellational astrology, also known as true sidereal. This is astrology by the visible sky. This is how the ancient astrologers used to practice it. Like I said, tropical astrology fixes the signs to seasons, and they're not there, honestly. I use the natural size of the constellations. They're all over the place. Virgo is huge at just under 50 degrees. Aries is small at less than 25. So all the constellations vary in sizes. There are astrologers who like to try to make them all the same size, and they're not in the visible sky. I use an astrological midpoint system developed by Athens Shimenti because if you look at a star map and you look at the boundaries, those boundaries are drawn by the IAU and they're kind of arbitrary. What Athens Shimenti did was he looked at the zodiac belt, last bright star of constellation A, first bright star of constellation B, did some geometry, found the midpoint, said, let's go there. Works pretty well, I think. It's much more fair, too. I read 13 signs because in ancient times there were 13 signs. There are 13 new moons in a calendar year, in a solar year. They pulled one constellation out to make it a 12-month calendar. The 13th sign is a fucus. That's the wounded healer. It's where you're wounded in your life. And the intention is for you to learn to heal yourself so you can heal others with similar wounds. These are the weekly transits. So these are the universal lessons for everyone to be learning. So have some compassion on your fellow Earthlings. I read what's called evolutionary astrology, which says these are lessons to learn. These opportunities, these situations are going to happen. This is what you can ideally learn from them. So let's see. And also, my dates are based on the Eastern US time zone. And I was asked, how many degrees of orb am I using to determine what I read? And orb, think of it as a sphere of influence. So how close do they have to be before I'm putting them in this forecast? I'm using them within 1 degree of exact, because if I used like what if I used what is recommended in my book on transits, this report could go on for an hour plus. So this is 1 degree of exact. This is what's going to be hitting you directly and exactly this week. Probably not the best choice of words there, but there's a weekly transit report for the 19th through the 25th, August 2024. The moon is actually fairly steady this week with Capricorn through Taurus. It begins in Capricorn, but immediately goes into Aquarius. So it's really Aquarius, spends the bulk of the week in Pisces, and then steps into Aries before stepping into Taurus. Aries is our quick breath for the week. This is my cat. I call him the parkour kitten because he can get from my kitchen to my living room, jumping on things and never touching the floor. We do have Monday is going to be incredibly busy with transits going exact from last week, and we have the full moon in Aquarius, and there's a T-square. I have that Monday AM. It's really Monday afternoon. There's 2 T-squares happening on that. So one to the full moon and one to another transit, and I will explain those. Active this week, though, if we set aside everything that's finishing up from last week and we look at what's really happening this week, what's new this week, it's the inner planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Those are our big players this week. Learning and communication, relationships and creativity, and learning courage and assertiveness. And Chiron, healing. So that's what's active. We do have a few power transits. We have the nice long one that started last month, Neptune sextiling Pluto. So how is your spirituality helping you to transform? And I will dig deeper into that. Mars and Saturn, courage to mature, and I'll dig deeper into that. And Jupiter and Saturn are also in are also an aspect, and that's opportunity for maturing and growing. So yeah, we have a lot of planets going retrograde, which means they look like they're moving backwards in the sky. So this is the lesson here is reflection. That's Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, and Chiron. So let's jump in. This is our overview of the week, and let me pull up my annotation tool. And if we look at it, I didn't want to draw this on the thing, on my thing when I was doing it. We really have two clusters of energy. And Tuesday is the breaking point. So we have finishing off last week for the most part, finishing that off Monday and Tuesday. So Monday and Tuesday is a sense of completion and releasing. And then starting on Wednesday, we begin a new series of transits. And the only exception to that rule is that Jupiter squaring Saturn, which will end on Saturday, and then that Pluto Neptune. So let me clear those drawings out. You don't want to have those. So here we go. So Monday, we do have the full moon in Aquarius. That will be happening Monday afternoon Eastern time. On Friday, we have a sign change. Venus enters Virgo. Should have had that on the last slide. But we do have a sign change on Friday. Venus entering Virgo, improving yourself in your relationships. So let me get this out of the way. And this is back from July. So these are the two slow movers of the solar system. The only thing that moves slower than Pluto is Eris. And I haven't been taught how to read Eris yet, so I don't. But we have Neptune. This is all retrograde. This is all reflection. So this is reflecting on how your spirituality is helping you find interest in changing and transforming your values and belief systems. I think that's the best way to read that. That's the simplest way to read that. I'm dealing with light issues today. I've had some degree of photosensitivity. I have a good idea why. And internet's been wonky too. But yeah, so be open to spiritual transformation and insights. Take time to reflect on them. How is your spirituality affecting and helping you change your personal belief systems and transforming your belief systems? That's what I have there. Be careful of turning, and what can happen here is you can turn your beliefs into a religion, which are rules that you establish for yourself and then try to share with everybody else and get converts and all that, what have you. That's not the way to go. This is personal to you. This is you reflecting on your own inner transformation. I'm going to leave that at that. We have Jupiter in a square to Saturn. Mars will also be, I think, is finishing that up. But let's see, Jupiter square. Jupiter is opportunity. Saturn is maturing. So this is finding strength. Jupiter and Taurus is finding strength. And this is square as a challenge. So finding strength, and the challenge is to be your authentic self. And with this being a reflection, Saturn being in retrograde, the question is, are you being authentic? And can you find the opportunity to be your authentic self and in those situations? So there's that. Do I have anything? Bring stability, peace to your life. Yeah, be careful of hesitation, excessive caution, also second guessing yourself in situations you're in, letting others tell you what to do, or controlling or acting out. Saturn in Aquarius, you lose the authenticity lesson by either acting out in wild rebellion or selling out and trying to conform and fit in. The goal is for you to be who you really are and find the peace and stability that comes with that. And that will end on Friday or Saturday, I believe. Saturday. Okay. Mercury is in retrograde, so that's reflecting on your learning and communication, and it's in a square to Oranos and Taurus. Oranos is about you learning to be your individual self. The challenge here is, are you communicating? For you to reflect on, have you been communicating who you truly are and who you really are? And are you finding the strength to do that? And are you sharing that authentic self with the world? Reflecting on you, also sharing your own truths. That's another thing here, because oranos can be your own personal truth and your own personal belief systems. So yeah, the shadow of this, again, this is square. Square is a challenge, so it can be a stepping stone or it can be a stumbling block. And failing this, you can be trying to be someone that you're not and sharing a lie, and not that doesn't work out. Be careful just being pointlessly contrarian or trying to fit in, just whatever. Also, selling out, you won't, doesn't bring any peace. But the stumbling block is you being someone that you're not and trying to share someone that you're not. The parkour kitten is trying to get into my dinner. He is a little. Okay, we have Venus squaring Jupiter, and this leads into a larger transit later. Venus is about relationships and creativity. And like you said, Jupiter is finding opportunity to learn what? Peace and stability. So how are you in your relationships? Venus in Libra is about you in your relationships, and how are you having the courage to stand up and be seen, build in your relationships, making new friendships, new relationships, new contacts, or old relationships, and facing the challenging, knowing that if you work through this challenge, it can strengthen you and it'll become a stepping stone. Failure to do so, being someone that you're not. What else do I have? Being slick and manipulative. Yeah, Venus in relationships can be slick and manipulative, or someone who just tries to hide away or stand away. Didn't woe is me. Okay, I'm lonely. That's this transit crashing and burning, so to speak. Um, I'm kind of digging into a deeper transit a little bit here, but I will get to that. So be careful of overreaching in your relationships or not reaching far enough, or playing the entitlement card and being who or what you are not. These can lead to these opportunities being lost. So if you're trying to manipulate people into doing things for you or trying to be someone that you're not, it's just not going to work. Let's see. The sun is conjunct Mercury. Reflect on how you're communicating who you are. Because the sun is your core self, it's your core identity, it's the ego, it's your personality. How are you communicating? And in what ways? In Leo, it's standing up to be seen. So are you standing up and being seen? You're willing to be vulnerable. You're not going to be the lion and the king of the jungle unless you get up and roar. So are you taking that chance? When you've had the opportunity to stand up and be seen, have you? So there's that. Be careful of, oh yeah, Mercury, the shadow of Mercury can be endless chatter, whether it's out externally and just talking people's ears off, or internal chatter that like, oh, whatever. So it's reflecting also and looking at your communication. How are you communicating? How are you learning? How are you communicating yourself and your identity? I mean, I have written here, not being present can lead to moments of regret later on. Yeah. All right, now this one, okay, this is one of the slides I fixed up from last week. I think I had this part of this wrong last week. So if I did, I apologize. I'm human. I make mistakes just like everybody else. Venus is in opposition to Saturn. So Venus, relationships, creativity, Saturn, maturing. So Venus in Leo is about standing up and being seen in your relationships, but you're reflecting on Saturn in Aquarius. Are you being authentic in your relationships? So that's the lesson to reflect on. Are you being authentic in your relationships when you stand up and being seen, or your creativity? This is your music, this is art. Are you sharing your authentic gifts there? Now, what we have here, and I've drawn this with the yellow line because Jupiter is yellow, Jupiter is in a T square to both of them. So all three of these planets are what we call a T square. And what that means is you've got the two planets in opposition and a third planet in a 90-degree angle to both of them. The planet that's in the middle is either going to be strengthened or crushed. So Jupiter here is kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. And I like the way Zena, I was one of the clients that I work with, she described it as a person lifting, as I drew other lines, it looks like a weightlifter. So Jupiter in Taurus is finding peace, stability, strength in a way. So if you're reflecting on the situation and you see that you're being your authentic self, you're finding peace and stability. And this is going just to make that stronger. However, if you are not, think of that. We've all seen the YouTube videos, the TikTok videos of that guy who's got, even on the television, those videos, the guy who's trying to pick up too much weight, and he's like, ugh, and he's straining, and he needs someone to help to pull it off, otherwise he's going to choke, or he gets it on his chest and he can't move, and he's got to try to roll it off. That's getting crushed under this pressure. So Jupiter finding an opportunity for strength and stability. If you're being your authentic self, you will find it. If you're not, you're not. And that's all going to fall to pieces. It's going to collapse like a house of cards, literally. That's a good analogy. And we do have the sun is in a square to Oranos. So the sun is your authentic, not your authentic self here. The goal is to become your authentic self. But the sun is your core identity, your ego. The lesson of Oranos is, are you learning to be who you really are? Are you being true to yourself? So the challenge here is for you to be who you really are and finding strength in that and finding strength in your authentic self so that you can express it and share it with people. I think that nails that. Trying to be someone that you're not. Becomes a square, becomes a stumbling block, and you're just going to face plant. People can see it being someone who you're not, acting out to get a reaction, or trying to conform and be someone that you're not. People can smell a phony, and you're going to feel lonely and feel like a fake. So there's that. Okay, and finally, I accidentally deleted this line. I realized I had to put it in. I couldn't, and just create it really quick. The moon is in Capricorn. And the aim of the moon in Capricorn is to take on a challenge that's worthy of your time and talents, and find a task that's worth doing and worth doing well. And there's a bunch of transits we just talked about that you could take on there. You can also look to see the house where Capricorn is, and that would give you a good idea of where this really applies. So take on a challenge that's worthy of your time and talents. With self-discipline, commitment, you have the opportunity to succeed and have a sense of achievement and fulfillment. And that's what would come out of this transit, a sense of emotional achievement, a sense of emotional fulfillment. Failing that, what happens? Capricorn can just get really uptight, turn into a control freak, become a workaholic, and also feel very lonely. So that if you're feeling that, you're kind of missing the opportunity here. Finally, we get to Monday. That's all stuff from last week, Saturday, Sunday, and earlier. Saturday and Sunday. On Monday, the moon will enter Aquarius. And you're in Aquarius, it's going to be both waxing and waning, or building and releasing. So you're building up here the intent to release the need for approval from others. The moon in Aquarius wants to feel real. So ideally in this time, you're learning to feel real, and you're building that up and releasing the stuff that feels fake. Learning to be emotionally independent as well. I was and just to give you an example of this, I was at a memorial service, and all these people are crying. I can't believe this guy's gone. And I'm sitting there chuckling to myself. And I was like, what are you laughing at? I was like, I'm remembering all the good times. And I told them a couple of the stories. Everybody thought I was but that's how I felt. That's emotional independence. I was at a memorial service. Other people wanted to cry. I respected that. But I just sat there smiling, and I remember my friend's widow. I was like, "Why are you smiling?" People will disconnect. I explained. She's like, I agree with you. This should really be a celebration, a memory. We'll later time have a party about all the good times, but that was that. I'm off on a tangent. So look at the alternatives. What can help you feel real and feel authentic? And where do you need to feel real and authentic? Do that. Avoid acting out or selling out in attempts to fit in where you don't belong. And you don't belong because it doesn't feel right. Moon emotions, your soul. If it doesn't feel right, it ain't. Go with it. And on Monday, T square number 2. There's actually if you do asteroids and a whole bunch of other stuff, there's more than this. But yeah, we've got T square number 2. And this gets really interesting because it's the full moon. So this is the sun and both Mercury. So are both in opposition to the moon in Aquarius. So this is a point of reflection. Are you being your authentic self? And with this in Leo, are you sharing your authentic self? Are you, sharing who you really are? And again, the T square, both the sun, Mercury are in a square to Oranos. The moon is also in a square to Uranus as well, I believe. Yeah, right here. I didn't draw those lines in. I should have. What is that? Oh, that's interesting. Never rabbit holes. I don't suffer from ADD, ADHD. I enjoy every minute of it. It just drives everybody else nuts. I'm gonna have to look at this chart. There's a lot more here than, yeah. Okay, I digress. But again, if you are feeling your authentic self, communicating your authentic self, you will be strengthening your core identity. And this will be, you'll find peace, you'll find the strength to do that. And this, your authentic self, who you really are, will be strengthened. However, if you're being someone that you're not, the whole house of cards comes caving in. And what caves in? Your emotional self and your pride, your ego. Everybody's just gonna, that's just not gonna be a pretty sight, to be honest. But the big question here, reflect on, are you sharing who you authentically are? Are you communicating that? Because if you are, you're strengthening who you are. And you're going to find more strength and more stability and peace with it. If not, you're just going to, like I said, the house of cards comes down collapsing. The weight comes down on you, and it's anything but. We talked about that. Tuesday, a lot of that stuff from last week comes to an end. So you'll be feeling a lot of release of energy today. The moon will still be in Aquarius. Feel your authentic self. But otherwise, do take a breath. And on Wednesday, the moon enters Pisces. We're in a releasing stage phase here now. So in the releasing phase, we're looking to release old visions, old ideas, old things that no longer inspire us. And by cleaning house, we open the door for new vision and new ideas. So release the old so you can welcome in the new. Look for opportunities to grow spiritually. Look for things that speak to your soul and embrace them. Be careful of withdrawing or trying to escape reality or even numbing yourself to it. Trying to cling onto those old visions is just not going to work out, and trying to block it out and hide from it, not good. So do a little house cleaning, can be a good thing for you today. Wednesday, we have Venus squaring Mars. Venus in Leo squaring Mars and Taurus. This is the challenge here. Squares are challenges. The challenge here is having the courage to be your authentic self, finding the strength to be your authentic self, and to share that publicly. Are you doing that? Are you finding that? That's how I'm reading this. That seems to be the message there. And accept the challenge of finding I'm calling it the quiet strength, finding the strength to be yourself in your public relations and dealings. And Mars in Taurus, you could, the quiet warrior, that strong, confident person, that person walks in quiet into the room and they stand there and they just have that air of confidence. That's what you're looking for. You're looking to be that calm, quiet, strong person, and to be the challenge of sharing that confidence, that quiet confidence in who you are. And also Venus being creativity. And also if you're into the creative arts and you're doing that, sharing that as well. Define what victory means to you and let that be out in the world and be seen. Uh, know that building relationships can be challenging and rewarding. Be open to those silent hints, those little nudges that you get. Um, that can work for you. Watch out for pointless conflict or trying to avoid challenging conversations, challenging relationships, any sort of challenge. If you try to avoid it, it's just going to work out bad for you. Accept the challenge. The goal is to strengthen you. Avoiding the challenge and being bowled over can, Mars in Taurus, it can be a bull in a china shop. Honestly, that's what the temperament can be. It can be incredibly lazy, looking for the easy way out. Venus can be slick and manipulative. You're trying to manipulate people and be, underhandedly deal with them. It's just going to go bad for you. So you're trying to be lazy, looking for the easy way out, not going to work, and it can turn into a disaster. Yeah. We have Mercury retrograde in Leo trying to Chiron retrograde in Pisces. Mercury, just basic Mercury retrograde, reflecting on your learning and communication. Chiron is about healing and releasing of wounds. So you're reflecting on how have you been healing. So how are you, for this trine, and a trine is, let me get my notes here. I want to make sure I'm reading this right. This is where my brain is today. I apologize. Yeah, this is an opportunity. This is an energizing opportunity. You're feeling good about reflecting this. How have you been communicating how you've been healing? Taking that time to reflect on how you've been healing, releasing the wounds, sharing those transformations with people. How have you been doing that? This isn't something that you're like talking about, you're more reflecting on how you have been. So this is more inner work. Let's see, reflect on what you have learned from your wounds and healing them. Also, have you released them? What would healing look like and how could you share it with others? Pay attention to opportunities to learn about healing and the different modalities. How have, that could be good. Be careful of living out your wounds in public or trying to turn yourself into a self-styled guru. It's really easy for that to happen, or pretending to be someone that you're not. Oh, I know how to heal everybody's wounds, the false messiah complex. Be careful of that. Thursday, Mars in Taurus, sextile to Chiron retrograde, and Mars in Taurus. Mars is having the courage to heal. And so with a sextile is kind of an excitement or an interest. It's like the first steps. Ooh, I'm fine. You reflect on the healing. Is it giving you the strength and courage that you need? And are you finding peace and strength in that, peace and stability in that? How are you finding strength in your healing and releasing of wounds? Pay attention. Old wounds may reappear in new ways. It can be an opportunity for new healing. Reflect on that. How have they shown up? Reflect on you've acted on your wounds, or have you let them define you, or have you used them to play the victim? Be careful of reliving wounds. So that's the kind of the warning there. It's Thursday. Friday, we have Mercury sextiling Mars. So Mercury communicating Mars, your strength, your assertiveness. Time to reflect here, though, because Mercury is retrograde in Leo. How have you been communicating your assertiveness and individual strength? And a sextile is kind of an excitement and an interest. So this is a chance for you to stand back and say, have I been assertive in how I'm presenting myself to the world? Have I been standing out and sharing that? Have I been seeing my own strengths in communication and how I can communicate best? Those are the questions I think to be asking. How are you sharing your beliefs, etc.? And how has that been bringing peace to your life? Pay attention to how others can see you and pay attention to how others are acting, because you can sometimes see yourself in other people, and you notice people who have similar situations, like everybody's gonna be doing this. Do you see other people acting similar to you and reliving your situations? Those can be good lessons. Pay attention to that. You may learn from others that are provocative button pushers. How do you respond? How do you respond when you get your buttons pushed? Do pay attention to how you communicate to others. How are others receiving and perceiving how you communicate? That's another good lesson to learn here. Reliving old arguments or falling into the wrong arguments can be very detrimental. It's a very big opportunity here for arguments. There's a difference between being assertive and being an ass. I just gonna say it. It's there. Um, so yeah. And Friday, Venus enters Virgo. So Venus, the planet that rules relationships and creativity, enters Virgo, the sign of improvement. How can you become better at relationships? Open up to the idea that relationships can be improved and that you can get better at them. How? And so this is going to be a good season of learning. Virgo is the largest constellation in the sky at just over 48 degrees. We're going to be going through this through August, September. I think it's going to go into October. I can't remember off the top of my head, but this is going to be a good long transit. It is going to be all of September. I'm pretty confident of that. So open up to the idea relationships can be improved and your ability to relate to others, also your creativity, because Venus does rule the arts. And by that I mean music and your traditional art classes that we had in and when you were in school. Look where you can be unlikable, and I see where you can change that and how. Look for feedback from trusted friends. Feedback can be very important and very valuable. Parkour, please don't do that. Yeah, there we go. You can learn from others who have had several challenges. Also pay attention to others as they may have modeled behavior that could be changed and how are you responding to it. So very good chance for you to learn from other people and to pay attention from other people. Be careful of trying to fix others instead of yourself. It can be seen as hypocrisy. Also, harsh criticism can be very destructive. Virgo does not need an enemy. When you're dealing with Virgo, Virgo is your friend. Virgo can be, the shadow of Virgo is crippling self-criticism. Virgo can tear yourself to pieces. So if you find yourself being very self-critical, stop and stand back and ask why. What can you learn so you can be better next time? That's the lesson here. And Friday, we have the moon entering Aries. Emotionally, you're up for a challenge and learning courage. Let go of whatever is holding you back and be prepared to take action. Especially with Venus entering Virgo, that could be good here. And a little competition. You may find yourself challenged here. You may find yourself in an emotional challenge. Stand up for it. Have the courage to stand up to it and be assertive. Falling into fear and lashing out or trying to hide means that this opportunity is going to be lost. Remember, Aries can be the coward and it can be very angry and violent. So pay attention to the mood swings here. What is that telling you? How are people pushing your buttons? Saturday, take a breath. Remember to release. And on Sunday, we end with the week with the moon entering Taurus. Look for new ways to calm down and settle down and find peace and stability in the world. Find time, take time. Remember to take time for peace and quiet if you can. Be very helpful. Being stubborn or lazy can create boredom and emotional exhaustion. And as you're going through this, the moon very quickly is going to transit over Oranos. So, excuse me, feeling authentic, learning to feel real. How are you? And later on, it will go over Jupiter and Mars as well. So finding the opportunity for peace and having the courage and learning that courage as well to be, to find, to have the strength to take the time to chill out. But that'll be next week. But right off the top, moon, emotional peace, emotional quiet. And I'm still working on that course on the nodes of the moon with Dr. Danny. We are getting ready to learn how to, the lessons released later this week will be about interpreting the nodes in the birth chart and everything I do. Still, you can join. There is a little poll, which I'm going to look at Monday, I believe, and that's how I'm going to decide what charts to interpret. They picked some famous people. And whoever gets the most votes, I'm going to do 2 or 3 charts and go with it and show how I would counsel this person. Started August 8th, September 4th, and so you still got a chance to get in. And we'll be looking at how to read the nodes in the birth chart and how to read the nodes in transit. And you can follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. All of these collect a lot of data from you, make billions of dollars, and don't share a thing. I'm also on the Digital Soul Space, which is a privacy-focused network. And there's astrology, crystals, oracle decks, tarot, all sorts of different modalities on there. It's incredible. And the discussions on there are pretty good. The people on there are really interesting. And it'll be what you make it. I do encourage you to stop in, join, and check out. And let's do the site reminder thing. I had to put that in there. So here is my site. This is where you go to place your orders. Again, I say giving you the keys. The first set of keys is your birth chart, your karmic chart or past life reading. The second set of keys are the horoscopes, the predictive astrology. And I personalize this to you. And we can look at what I call the life cycle, so your astrological birthday, so to speak, in a way. It's not a solar return chart, but I look at the outer planets in relationship to where they are in your birth chart, and I tell you what information. That gives a lot of critical information. We can look at a yearly horoscope, the major lessons. We can break that down to a quarter, or the monthly, which I like to do new moon to new moon. And I do have packages which combine these together, and there's a 10% discount built right into that. So there's my site quickly. If you click on subscribe, it's a newsletter that I send out once a week where I give a summary of the major events and astrological insight, exclusive subscriber-only discounts, and information on live appearances and events. If you click on, I believe this is blog. Yeah, if you click on blog, I do forecasts for the week. So the mini horoscope, and trying to get up in the morning and do that. Really should be doing that the night before. But yeah. Yeah, the evening library job will be over this week, so I should have more time, have an opportunity to do that the night before. But just giving you an overview of what all the transits are and how you can work with them. Still working on the model. And I like to do a deep dive when I have the time. This is explore one transit deeper. And if you click on services, you can services or scheduling, you can order a reading from me. Whether services is really for the packages and scheduling is more for the reading. And please do give 3 to 5 days for the individual readings. That gives me time to read your chart, record it, send it to you so you can watch the recording. And then when we get together for your hour-long consultation, what you're getting is an hour for you to ask me questions and seek more information and seek clarity where you need it. So I'm finding, and people are finding that works so much better. So let me go back to here, current slide. So thank you very much for watching this. Like, follow, share, sign up for the newsletter. And remember, in the visible sky, your life changes. Thank you very much and have the best possible week.